The BIPOC Coach Collective proudly presents Elevate and Celebrate. This is a podcast to showcase our members, dive deeper into their journeys, and express who they are into the world. Our mission is to curate a brave and authentic space for coaches to connect and to elevate our voices globally in the coaching profession. Learn more about us at bipoccc.org. Your story matters, your voice matters. Let's start the show. Hello and welcome to this new episode of Elevate and Celebrate. I got a question for you real quick. Is your net worth equaling your net worth? Do you understand the power of your network? If you don't, if you have some questions, if you're thinking to yourself, who is around me? Who's in my inner circle? Who's in my orbit that can support me and that can help me grow my business? Well, our guest this month, Michael Morgan, is going to break down some tangible tools for you to become an even better networker, an even better brand as you share your name, as you put yourself out there, as you expand your influence. We're going to get into his history. He's an award-winning author. He's a speaker, facilitator, and someone who understands a thing or two about service. And you know me, I love service. I love serving with a smile on my face. And that's the best way, I believe, to build community, build trust, build business, and build an empire, a legacy of sorts. So for all that said and done, I'm going to keep you reminded about what's going on this month for the collective. So this week, this Friday, we're going to have the next facilitation call for our champion members. So tap in for that. If you aren't a member at this point, there's still time to join. Go to bipoccc.org/join, learn a little bit about our membership and become a champion. And if that you're not ready for that, you want to test drive and kind of get a feel for who we are, then May 23rd is our next networking call. We're having a little bit earlier just because of Memorial Day out here in the States, and we want to make sure that you have enough time to spend some time with us and also maybe take some time off and enjoy it with family and friends and do whatever you do. But with all that said and done, let's get into this episode and enjoy what me and Michael have to share with you. One. All right, welcome back to Elevate and Celebrate. This is Alex Dumas here, and I'm joined with our guest, Michael Morgan. And as I shared in our intro, this gentleman here, he's a phenomenal speaker, facilitator, a leader, someone, and an author as well, an award-winning author. We're going to dive into his book in a minute, but Michael, just want to welcome you to the stage and great to have you here.
Thank you, Alex. It's a pleasure to be a guest on your podcast. I love your show, so it's an honor to be here.
Much appreciated. So I'm gonna go right into it, right? Because we start us off right, award winning, right? The power of networking. Tell us a little bit about that, like what inspired that, and how have you been using that book to build your business?
Yeah, so I would say over the course of my career and my educational journey, I've had a lot of people reach out to me for guidance, tips, advice. Whether that's why did I go back to school to get my MBA? How did I transition industries? What interview tips do I have so that they can get their foot in the door? How can they excel in their roles? How can they advance in their careers? How can they transition from being an individual contributor to a people manager? And whether it's people in my network directly been reaching out to me for tips, advice, or people in my network have been connecting with people in their network and asking for guidance, or random people just reach out to me on LinkedIn and look at my profile and they're impressed and want to ask me questions. And after a certain point in time, I felt as though I have a breadth of knowledge that people are looking for. And I genuinely enjoy helping people and I want to see other people achieve their goals. We can all succeed, but I'm only one person. So there's only so many phone calls and video chats and emails that I can send on a one-on-one basis. My mindset was if I put my knowledge into a book, I can get my recommendations and guidance out to the masses. And it's the same thing with public speaking. I'm doing speaking engagements now for conferences, for organizations, companies, universities. So that way I can share my message out with hundreds of people at a time as opposed to on a one-on-one basis. So it was really just coming to the realization that a lot of people were reaching out to me for tips, guidance, and me deciding to put pen to paper. And now I'm able to, utilize that book to open up the door for speaking engagements. I'm even possibly considering starting up like a consulting company or a coaching company to help people as well.
Wow, fantastic. Yes. Congrats on the success so far. And I just want to, stay here for a second because you shared a couple of different things with like the expertise that you've been sharing, right? The breadcrumbs, people have found value through it. They've been excited. And obviously that inspired you to, have the light bulb of like, you know what, people are asking for this. People keep on recurring things keep popping up. Like, so I'm curious, like, are there certain things that individuals kept reaching out to you about regarding networking? Like, were there specific uh, tips or practices that they were seeking that you were able to enlighten them on?
Yeah, so I would say the two biggest items, one, a lot of people that reach out to me are more intrinsic and they don't like the practice of networking. They don't want to put themselves out there. And I have to explain to people, you have to treat networking as part of your job. And I
Mhm.
get it, it can be uncomfortable for some people, but if you're not networking, it's going to limit your opportunities. So for people that are more intrinsic and just don't feel comfortable putting themselves in situations where they have the opportunity to meet new people, I tell them to take baby steps. Like 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 little steps make a big difference. So I wouldn't just recommend someone just go to a conference with 20,000 people and go make 100 connections. Like that's like throwing someone off of the deep end. But I will say something like, hey, why don't you go to this networking event and try to make one connection? Why don't you join this organization? This organization seems relevant based off your industry, based off your function. Maybe you'll make a good connection there. And taking these baby steps, if I make a goal of make one connection, it's it's not too of a surmountable goal that they can't achieve. And once they do it and once they get more comfortable, now they're building up their confidence. Now they're seeing that there's nothing to be afraid of. And now can expand where maybe a couple months from now go to another networking event and this time meet three new contacts. This time make five new contacts. So first and foremost, I'm telling people how to put themselves out there, whether it's joining organizations, whether it's attending conferences, whether it's joining a lot of companies have employee resource groups. So I recommend people join employee resource groups, but you really have to put yourself out there first and foremost in order to really build relationships. The second piece that I tell people all the time, a lot of people will tell me they've built great relationships over time and things just kind of fall off. And I let them know it's very easy to make a new connection. It's difficult to maintain that connection. So, what I like to do with my network, I put people in different categories. So some people I'll reach out to on a weekly basis, some quarterly, some semi-annually, some annually. Depending on my relationship with the person, I may send them an email or I may send them a text message. Maybe I'll send them a message on LinkedIn. Maybe I'll set up a video chat. But I'm being methodical and I'm tracking the last time that I spoke with that person to make sure that I'm periodically checking in. And that way, 4 or 5 years haven't lapsed and I haven't spoken to my connection, and then I'm essentially burning a bridge at that point if I haven't spoken to someone in 5 years. What I see all the time is that people will make connections, won't speak to anyone for 5 years, and all of a sudden they need something like, hey, I need a job. Oh, this person works here. Let me reach out to them. Well, at that point, you burn the bridge. You haven't spoken to this person in 5 years, and the first time you reach out, you're asking for something. So a lot of people ask me how to make sure that you don't lose connections, and I tell them you have to be methodical. Like like just reach out organically and just try to check in on people. If you know someone in your network that likes to travel, just hey, how you been? I know you like to travel. What was the last trip you took? Hey, I know you like to run. What was the last race that you ran? How's your partner? How are your kids? Like there are little things you could do. How's your job? You could just check in on people every once in a while, and that way you can maintain that relationship. And then if you ever need something, now you've had that relationship for years, and it doesn't feel as ingenuine when you reach out to them, as opposed to you haven't spoken to this person in X amount of time, and now the first time you're reaching out to them, you're asking for something.
Yeah. What you're describing is very much the building blocks of my entrepreneurial journey. I would be the guy. going to these meetings, getting the whole stack of business cards. I don't know if anybody has like shoe boxes of them. I'm sure somebody watching out there has got that, right? I'm hitting on the Rolodex. Someone's getting triggered right now, like, oh, Alex, why, Michael? I know, and that's where I feel like I believe the psychology of sales and networking gets icky to people because it's what you described. I haven't talked to this person. Now I need something. Now I got to come with a beggar bowl energy, like, oh, please help me, sir, like more porridge, instead of serving that person consistently or tapping in, checking in, as you said it, and just being in their world, being engaged. And I think that's where that gets easier when you get to be a top of mind for somebody versus, oh man, here we go. He's got another thing. Oh, she's coming with this opportunity. Here we go. They're gonna send me the links and it gets gross. And that's what gives it actually affects everybody else who's working the digital landscape because now my bias is, oh no, Michael's gonna message me, right? I'm I'm already coming in with a pre-bias, like, oh no, I'm resistant to it. And I love the way that you've been able to systematize that and some of the things you broke down as far as the smaller steps and also the maintenance. And I think that's what scares people, the maintenance of, man, I gotta reach out to this person all the time. Like, how do you keep yourself inspired and energized to do that? Because I would say for most people, right, and whoever's watching this, that's not something that they particularly enjoy. Connecting with people, having fun, networking, all that kind of stuff is fun, but then the maintenance of the relationship, like, oh my goodness, like this is a lot of work. Like what and what charges you up for that?
Yeah. So I would say two things. One, I find specific opportunities where I have nothing but free time and I'm trying to make the most use of my time where I can leverage it for networking.
Okay.
So I'll give you two examples. One, I used to live in the Bay Area. So I lived in Oakland. My office was in San Bruno. So it was about an hour and a half commute, you taking the train to get to work and another hour and a half to get back home. Now, the train is usually pretty congested, so it's not like I can pull up my laptop and do work and be productive, but I'm spending 3 hours a day commuting and I could just sit there and listen to music or watch videos on my phone, or I could be productive. So I use that time to go through my phone, and I would literally just scroll through my contacts. And if it was someone that I hadn't spoken to in months or a year, that would give me a trigger like, oh, I need to send this person a text message. I need to give someone a phone call because I have nothing but time. I'm sitting on a train.
Yeah.
What else am I going to do? Let me be productive with my time. Same thing with traveling. I love to travel. I travel for work, I travel for fun, and I'm one of those people, me personally, I get anxious. I don't want to show up at the airport 30 minutes before my flight and hope that security's clear and just be able to run through the gate. That's not me.
Right.
So I'll show up an hour, 2 hours early, and now I'm just sitting at the gate and I have nothing but free time. That's another opportunity where I can, scroll through my phone or look through social media and say, oh, I haven't talked to this person in a while. Let me reach out. So I find those, I know sometimes after a long day at work and people come home, they don't want to, network. They just kind of want to relax. And
Right.
I get that. So like, but there are other scenarios where you like may have free time that you're not necessarily thinking about and you're not making the most use of it. So I'd say first and foremost, finding those opportunities where I can keep those connections and maintain those conversations. And secondly, me personally, I'm energized. I want to see us all succeed. For some reason, I think a lot of people have this dog eat dog mentality, like it's me versus this person, like I need to take my slices of the pie and
Yeah.
it's like, if we change our mentality, instead of us fighting over slices of pie, why don't we expand the pizza? And now there's larger slices for everybody. So I'm like, I want to see other people succeed. I know I wouldn't be where I am today if people weren't, looking out for me between family, friends, colleagues, mentors, and now I'm trying to pay it forward. I'm trying to help other people the same way that I know people have helped me throughout my career. So it energizes me to see other people's success. It energizes me when I'm helping them reach that success and reach those goals. So it's a combination of one, finding good time where I can do the work, but two, it's me enjoying seeing other people's success and thrive.
Yeah. Well said, and that really aligns with my philosophy of life and now what I approach and what I named my book chapter last year. I called it Everybody Wins, including me, because I think that's an important part, right? I think that reduces the crabs in a bucket, dog eat dog mentality of everybody's winning, everybody's eating and thriving. But what about me? Like, no, no, you're a part of everybody. Like you deserve to have success and enjoy things as well. And I want to like dive kind of rewind back into your story, like your upbringing, your of how you developed this mentality. Because I know you said you have an educational background, so I'd love to you just kind of walk us through your story. Like, tell us your story.
Yeah, so I went to Penn State undergrad and I majored in business management. I minored in legal environment of business. I ended up getting my MBA from Carnegie Mellon University, concentrated in operations, strategy, and organizational behavior. Uh, honestly, I think a lot of the courses that I took at Carnegie Mellon and things I learned from my peers, things I learned from the faculty, the staff, I think that really helped me get that mentality. I think a lot of people overlook organizational behavior,
Mhm.
but there's so many people like to call it like soft skills. But when it comes to like leadership, when it comes to emotional intelligence, understanding and managing your own emotions, understanding like other people's emotions, what people are going through, learning how to work with other people, be a team player. Like these are a lot of concepts. A lot of people, they have this mindset where as long as I have the technical skills and I go and I could do my job at a high level, I'm going to succeed in my career.
Mhm.
And that's not always the case. Like if you're not able to work with other people, if you're not able to communicate, if you can't display leadership skills, like those are the things that's going to take you to the next level. So I think a combination of, learning from my peers during my educational journey, and then just my family upbringing. I mean, you know, we made the most of whatever we had, and we were always grateful for the things we had. We were grateful for people that helped us, and the same way we like to help other people. Like where my family's always willing to give a helping hand to anybody, because we like to see everybody succeed. So I mean, I try to take that same mentality when it comes to the workplace, when it comes to school. I'm not competing against my classmates. Like I'm gonna get an A, and I don't care what you get. Like, hey, let's all get A's. When I'm with my colleagues, like, hey, let's all get promoted. What can I do to help you move up in the company? What like how can we help each other succeed, excel, and get to that next level? So I feel like that mentality has served me well throughout my career.
Yeah. And I'd love you to speak more to like the organizational side and just has there been resistance or in terms of like the leaders that you work with, teams that you work with, and they're like, you know what, Michael, this is the way that we've always kind of done it. It's always kind of been this way. I don't really think that what you offer is gonna help us. Like, have you come across periods of that in your work?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I mean, I feel people are creatures of habit and they don't
Mhm.
like change. So if I join a company and a team is been doing the same process the same way for 1 year, 2 years, and then I come in with these ideas and they're like, who's this guy? Like this team's been running fine without him, and now here he comes with his ideas. But I'd say one of the big things is being able to influence.
Mm,
So, when I have ideas on how to change philosophies, mentalities, processes, I'm having those discussions on, what's the benefit? What's the benefit to that team? What's the benefit to me? What's the benefit to the end customers? Like every company I work at, the goal is to make the customers happy. If we can change how we're working together, if we can better network, if we can better collaborate, if we can do certain things in a more efficient way, now we're providing a better customer experience. Now we're executing things faster. Now we're saving money. Now we're like, there's so many trickle down effects. And obviously if we're functioning better as a company, the company's performing better. The company performs better, we all make more money. Like it's all the flywheel, it's all a cycle. Like let's help each other to perform at a higher level. So I think just having those conversations like, hey, I'm here to build better relationships so we can execute better and we can get things done more efficiently and we can reduce the cycle time and we can improve the customer experience. And once I break that down, what the end goal is, and they realize we all want the same end goal, it ends up not being that difficult to kind of move things around and change things. But I mean, like you said initially when you first walk in, because I've worked at a lot of different companies, and they always have their way of doing things before I get there. So I mean, it definitely takes conversation to make sure that everyone gets on the same page and is all aligned.
Yeah, for sure. The power of conversation. I'm curious, you being a man of color, has there been even added resistance, right, compared to maybe some of your other peers who maybe go into orgs and like maybe they have expressed it's been an easier transition, or this was just seamless, easy, it was effortless. Right? What has it been your experience been as as a man of color going to these spaces, going to these rooms where you think about the traditional business of executive, like the stoic, arms folded, really down to business details, and how are you able to kind of break down that wall? And you said you shared a couple of things of like really tying back into the the win for them, the aspect of, hey, this is going to help you be more productive, more money, right? The performance improve. So can you speak to that a bit?
Yeah. So yeah, I'd say it's been a difficult journey. A lot of the companies I've worked at, there's not a lot of people that look like me all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, there may be 5% of the company that's black. So when I get into these situations, like you said, I don't look like the typical leader. I'm not the typical person that some individuals may or may not work with. So I mean, I think that it takes time for them to get used to that. But I'll say on the other side, to play devil's advocate, I'm bringing a different perspective, a perspective that they've never seen before, they've never heard, they've never tried. And I think that's what a lot of these companies are looking for. They don't want the same type of people coming in with the same ideas. That's not going to innovate. That's not going to change things. So the fact that I am different, I'm leveraging that. I have different experiences. I have a different upbringing, and now I can bring these different ideas to make the organization better, to make them think about things that they never thought about before, so that we can get to the best decisions because we're thinking about every possible scenario. And at the end of the day, regardless of my background, I think they're focused on the end result. And once they see that I'm results oriented and I can help drive them and they see what I'm capable of providing and bringing to the table, I think that gets them excited. And now, in my opinion, I feel like it opens up the door for others. If I come into a company and there's not a lot of people that look like me and I succeed, now they're like, oh, okay, we should bring in more people from this school, from this background, and it really opens up the door. And that's when I'm really advocating like, oh, let's go to this diversity conference. Let's set up this partnership with this HBCU. Let's do these different initiatives so that we can continue to recruit and develop diverse talent and bring them into the company. And we have these different perspectives from someone who's black, someone who's Hispanic, someone who's Native American, someone who's part of the LGBTQ community, someone that's disabled. Like there's so many different underrepresented groups that kind of get left out a lot of times. But I feel, in my opinion, the more that I succeed, the more that I open up the doors where other people from these communities can get their foot into these companies and thrive as well.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like we are like brothers from another mother, right? Because that's the mentality I carry is like I call it building bigger bubbles, right? Just like the way I expand, that gives more people opportunity to get enrolled into it, to get more doors opened, as you eloquently said, and I think that's valuable. And walk us through. Now, are you still doing this type of work, or have things changed? Or let me back up. The type of clients that you love working with now, or organizations that you love working with, like who are those dream ones, the ones that light you up and that you have been able to do the best work with?
Yeah. So honestly, I've been able to do some of the best work with some nonprofits.
Mm,
There are a lot of organizations that are trying to help underrepresented communities and minorities get their foot in the door and different job opportunities. And I have so much extensive experience. I mean, from a recruiting standpoint, I've interviewed hundreds of candidates, like easily hundreds of candidates. I've been to dozens of conferences. Some conferences I'll do recruiting and interviewing there. Some conferences I'm just going as a representative of the company. We're not actually doing recruiting.
mhm,
But my experience at conferences, my experiences with interviewing, my experiences with resumes, I know how to revise resumes so that people can get their foot in the door for an interview. I know how people can stand out and be effective in interviews. I know what people need to do in their first 90 days so that they ramp up as quickly as possible and they can hit the ground running and add value. So when I speak to these nonprofit organizations and they're people who are hungry and are passionate and want these opportunities and just don't know how to get their foot in the door, I've been really able to help them succeed and get those job opportunities and not only get their foot in the door and get the job opportunities, but excel in their role. I've had really good connections with a lot of nonprofit organizations.
yeah, dude, 100%. And would it be fair to say that some of that information is in the Power of Networking book?
Absolutely.
Look at that
It's
T
all
up
in
right
there.
there. It's like Mike and Pip right now. We're setting it up.
Yeah, I mean the power of networking, there's so much information in there. I know obviously the book is called The Power of Networking and the core of it is around building and maintaining relationships, but I get into interviewing tips. I get into excelling in your role. I get into how do you advance in your career? How do you transition industries? Like how do you deal with workplace challenges? So there's so many tidbits that all fall within the book in addition to the core being about networking. But yes, it's all in there.
Yeah. And I think what you're describing and encompassing is like a full total brand because the resume, right, that one sheet of paper just is telling your story, is communicating to that recruiter why you're the person for the job, your expertise, the different nuances to you. And yes, they're not going to capture everything, but like that one sheet, it's a big deal. So I've had quite the journey, right? Just starting out, you're a young kid and teenager, maybe type of Microsoft Word, right? Just not have anybody reviewing. Like, I'm sure there were typos, I'm sure there were grammar mistakes, things that just, it wasn't sexy. It wasn't like, whoa, my goodness, we have to hire this guy. It's like, so if you can give like one or two tips, right? I don't want to give away the whole farm, but what's something that somebody can really think about as they present themselves? They have this sheet, this blank page. How do they transfer who they are to someone else's mind and make it clear for them?
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, don't be afraid to use a resume writer. I
Mm,
know a lot of people get hesitant. I bring it up all the time. People get hesitant with resume writers, like, oh, I don't want to spend hundreds of dollars. I don't want to spend $1,000 on a resume writer. I can do it myself. Well, yeah, I mean, if you spend $1,000 on a resume writer and they help you get a job where you're making another $20,000 a year, the return on investment is worth it. So I try to tell people all the time, like, think about the big picture. What is the return on investment? Yes, it may be a couple $100 or $1,000 here, but if it can get you this much more money a year or get you your dream job, where you're just happy and not even talking about financial, I'm making X amount more money. I'm just in a job that I love. Like, yeah, then it's worth the money. So I'd say first and foremost, think about a resume writer. Secondly, I like to tailor my resume. So
mm.
I think a lot of people will just have one resume and just kind of one size fits all, apply
Right.
to
Assembly
10,
line.
yeah,
Yeah,
apply to
just
10 different companies. What people don't realize, a lot of companies use AI and they're looking for buzzwords in your resume. And if your resume doesn't have those buzzwords, you're not moving on to even talk to HR for the next round.
mm,
So what I do is I'll look at a job description, and if it says there's certain skills that are required for the role or certain responsibilities, I will try to put those buzzwords in my resume, or I will try to highlight experiences that touch on those exact responsibilities. So my resume that I submit to Amazon is not going to be the same resume I submit to Chevron, is not going to be the same
Mm.
resume I submit to JP Morgan. So I do those little tweaks and it makes a huge difference. So if you go in there with that mindset, like, hey, let me look at the role and the description and try to tweak my resume so that I have the skills that they're exactly looking for in the role, it's going to help you get seen and go much further in the process.
Man, you know a couple of things, man. This
Yeah.
'cause here's what I'm hearing, and I hope the audience, whoever's watching, whoever's listening to this, catches this, right? With the networking, right, is the maintenance of the relationships. And for the most part, I would say, I don't know the statistics, right? But let's just say 50% of people in their roles get there as a recommendation from somebody else, right? Somebody introduces, somebody refers. In my world of coaching and speaking, that's how a lot of clients have been created for myself. That's why we have this BIPOC Coach Collective as a network, an orbit of sorts for people to bounce ideas off of, and plenty of our members have collaborated for different projects and made money together. So that's a beautiful thing. Everybody winning together. So the maintenance of the relationship, but also now the extra mile of tailor making it, of being intentional, being consciously intentional about the buzzwords. What are the things that you're really becoming an SEO expert for yourself with this role? Because as you said, these companies are filtering through and they're getting maybe hundreds, thousands, depends on the size of an org, but nobody got time to read every single thing. So what's that thing that's sexy? What's the thing that lights that's the billboard, the neon light that flashes, and they have to stop, right? It goes back to Cal Newport's book, right? It's something I always recommend. Deep work. It's like or yeah, be so good that they can't ignore you. So
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of those elements that you bring to the table and that you're teaching and working with people on. And I would love for you to speak with, do you work with people one on one as far as like coaching, or is it mainly just groups and teams, or how does that work?
Yeah, I work with people one on one right now. I don't right now. I haven't set up a formal coaching consulting, so I'm not charging. I'm kind of just doing this just because I enjoy helping people. I've been debating down the road maybe setting up something more formal where I like charge for services. But I encourage people to reach out to me, whether reach out to me on LinkedIn, on through my website. There's different avenues where you can contact me, and I'm willing to help however I can. So if people have questions when it comes to resume work, when it comes to interview prep, when it comes to, excelling in the role, I encourage you to reach out. So yeah, I work with people on a one-on-one basis.
For sure. Well, I'm going to speak it right here. Charge. No, and now people will be like, "Oh my goodness, how can you like if you're good at something, you excel at something, you have expertise, you are a specialist at, it's perfectly fine to get compensated for that, and it doesn't have to, you don't have to break people's banks, right? Like, oh my God, like I either gonna like feed my kids or pay Michael, like you can work with people, make it easy for them, but um, for those folks who are looking to connect with you and get more of your work, how do we find you? How do we connect with you online?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I have my own website. My website is michaelvmorgan.com. So it's V as in Victor, michaelvmorgan.com. So feel free to reach out to me through my website. I have a contact me form where if you send me a message, it'll come right to my inbox. I'm on LinkedIn, same thing, Michael V. Morgan on LinkedIn. So feel free to add me on LinkedIn, shoot me a message. I'm on Instagram, michael.v.morgan on Instagram. So either of those three channels, just feel free to send me a message, and I respond pretty quickly, usually within a day. And like I said, I'm willing to help. I'm here to I want to see everybody succeed. So don't be afraid to reach out.
I appreciate that, and I love that has been a recurring thing, right? Your intention, your focus, your commitment of other people succeeding, and obviously it has translated into success for you. Like you mentioned, some of the big heavy hitter names, these organizations, these companies that you've been able to to work with in the past, and maybe continue working with. And I would love for you just kind of as we walk off here, our audience, our community, executive coaches, leadership coaches, and they're doing their best to get into organizations. They're doing their best to work with high profile clients and premium paying clients. So is there a word of advice that you would have for them as they continue to build their brand and make people aware of the good work they do and how to access them?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so far it's worked for me. Like I said, right now I'm doing a lot of things for free. I eventually plan, to your point, I eventually plan to start charging, but this is a
Man,
way
let's get the
to
money, ching ching.
yeah. But this is a way for me to build up my credibility. This is a way for me
Mhm.
to build up my network. Just a way to show the value that I bring to the table. And then through word of mouth, I help one person, they can tell someone else, and now someone else is reaching out to me, and now I'm building those connections, I'm building those relationships, I'm showing the value that I provide. So I think putting yourself out there in situations where, you may go talk to a company or organization for free, or you may help someone for free, but it's building up your brand. I think that's very critical. And I say, with me just getting into space a year or so ago, it'd be difficult for me to just say, oh, I charge $1,000 per hour. And it's like, hey, you don't really have a track record. But now that I've spoken for so many organizations, so many companies, so many universities, and I have testimonials. Like at
Yeah,
the end of all the events that I speak at, I have people fill out surveys and give me feedback and tell me what was well, what where I need to improve. And I have so much success stories that I have over the past X amount of time. Now it's that much easier to reach out to new companies and new organizations. So I would say a lot of people should take that in consideration as a way to build up their brand, build up their reputation, like show those testimonials, and then you can really add value to any organization that you seek.
yeah, well said. A mentor of mine, a coach name's Frank Kitchen, he talks about perception being reality. And even if, with the work you've done, right, you've gotten these opportunities with these big organizations. Now you get to tie your name to that, right? It can get uncomfortable for people like to name drop, right? If you're like, oh my goodness, like I don't want to do that, but like no, you need to do that for people, right? Those are the buzzwords. Those are the things that people are like. My listening is going to be different if you speak for Amazon versus I don't want to crap on another company, but just you know what I mean, like mom little JoJo's picture shop, right?
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that, but Amazon little shop, right? That means something. That means more, and that us gives you opportunity to position yourself into to higher contracts or whatever. And for those folks who are like, oh, I don't want to do that for free. Listen, there's never I never look at speaking engagement as a free one because there's always value, as you mentioned, the testimonials, the feedback, real people seeing you speak, seeing you in action, and if you deliver an unforgettable uh, performance or speech, something that lands with them, talks stick with people, right? What's the thing that's sticky? What's the thing that people like they can't stop thinking about? The tangible tools so we can get into a whole rabbit hole of that with speaking because I think that's one of the best ways for a coach or any entrepreneur to really amplify their voices in a short amount of time, right? We can have this conversation one to one, but this will be broadcasted out to hundreds and then thousands of people as you speak. You might have a room of 50, 100, 250, right? 1,000. That's 1,000 eyes and ears that are hearing you, that are absorbed and hopefully getting some amazing value. And those people are your evangelists. Those people are moving that movement of yours for you. So take it for what it's worth, right? You get the resources, get the testimonials, you get good video pictures, all that kind of stuff, and it all contributes to the brand. And one of the things I love to do with events, right? Just this is mine now and my networking thing into this. Not I'm not a master networker, but by the slightest, but when I take a picture of an event organizer and I come back with the data, I use this service called Talkadot to collect testimonials and stuff. I'll put in the email picture like, hey, look at us, right? And just a quick little insert of like them remembering us, right? If they're holding up my book or we're together, right? It's just these things, these subliminal things. You want to leave people feeling good, right? And I think that's the thing that you embody as well, right? Leaving someone just feeling good about you, having that positive experience of you, because that flip side, you know what it's like when someone's had a when you've had a negative experience, when you haven't had the best service, like, man, I can still think about this 10 years, ago, like, man, this sucked. That, that it might be a restaurant, it might be a car service, whatever. Those things stick with you. So why leave a impression that isn't favorable? So I'm off my soapbox now. Do you have any thoughts on that?
No, absolutely. I completely agree. And funny enough, to your point, a lot of times I'll do a speaking engagement. A lot of people from the audience turn into referrals where they'll follow up with me and say, "Oh, I actually think you'd be good to speak here. I think you'll be good to speak here." And it just opens up more doors. It becomes a trickle down effect.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, definitely take those opportunities. You just don't know what doors may open when it comes from it.
Absolutely. So, Michael, appreciate you. Thank you for enlightening us on what the real true power of networking can look like. And for you folks watching, use this, leverage this, use this podcast as a class for yourself. Use this as an opportunity to practice and test things out. And if they work, let Michael know. Hit him up on LinkedIn, go to the website, contact, get in touch with him, and let him know that this was valuable. Your time was well invested, not just spent, but invested, so that you can actually recoup more and generate more. So, with all that said, Michael, appreciate you. It's been fun to elevate and celebrate you, man. Thank you so much.
Like I said, it was my pleasure, and I appreciate you allowing me to be a guest on this podcast. It's been a great experience.
For sure. So for all y'all, we'll see you next month. Until next time. Thanks for watching this episode. If you got value from this, please subscribe and leave a rating and review. And feel free to connect with us at bipoccc.org. See you next time.